In the world of fintech, security isn't just a feature, it's everything. And today, we're diving into what's become the new gold standard for protecting it: zero trust.
So let's just start with a really direct question. Think about your financial apps, your payment systems, all your accounts. In this completely digital world we live in, is that data truly fundamentally safe? Well, the answer is a lot more complex than you might think, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
To really get why zero trust is the solution, you first have to grasp the problem. And the reality is, fintech is in the middle of a pretty serious security crisis. The digital economy can be a hostile place, and you better believe financial platforms are a prime target for attackers. This slide really shows the huge difference between the old way and today's reality. For decades, security was basically a fortress, a castle with a big moat around it. The whole goal was to keep the bad guys out and just assume everyone inside was safe. But today's fintech world isn't a single castle. It's this massive, sprawling web of interconnected services, clouds, and APIs. That old model is just obsolete.
And this right here gets straight to the point. The old model is broken because, well, there is no inside anymore. Think about it. When your employees, your customers, and all your apps are accessing systems from literally anywhere, the whole idea of a safe inside just evaporates. Trusting someone based on their location alone is basically leaving the front door wide open.
So, if the old way is broken, what's the alternative? This brings us to the zero trust principle. And this isn't just a small update. It's a complete paradigm shift in how we approach security. The definition itself is simple, but it is so powerful. Zero trust completely abandons the idea of a trusted network and focuses everything on identity. It doesn't matter where you are, it only matters who you are. By default, nothing and no one is trusted. Access isn't a given, it has to be earned every single time. If you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this mantra: never assume trust, always verify. This is the absolute core of the zero trust philosophy, and it applies to every user, every device, and every single request for data, no exceptions.
Okay, so we get the principle, but how do you actually build a zero trust system? Let's take a look at how you turn this theory into a real working architecture.
Building a zero trust environment is definitely a step-by-step process, but it's really important to see this not as a one-time project, but as an ongoing journey. It all starts with knowing what's critical, mapping out your most important data and systems. Then, you start adding these interlocking layers of security. You enforce strong identity, you verify every single device, and you use something called microsegmentation, which just means you break your network into tiny, isolated zones. That way, if an attacker gets in, they're trapped. You also have to secure all your APIs and, of course, monitor everything to spot threats in real time.
Now, of all those steps we just looked at, one is the absolute cornerstone of the entire system: precise, continuous identity verification. If you don't get identity right, the rest of the structure is just fragile.
And getting identity right really means implementing a few key things. Multi-factor authentication, that's non-negotiable. So is the principle of least privilege, which basically means you only give users and services access to the absolute bare minimum they need to function. And this isn't just for people. It applies to every single API call and every automated process too. But, it's a huge mistake to think zero trust is just a technology problem that you can solve by buying a new product. It goes so much deeper than that. It's a fundamental shift in your operations and, more importantly, in your company's culture. A successful zero trust strategy requires continuous effort. It's all about ongoing governance and doing regular reviews to make sure access policies are still appropriate. It demands continuous security testing to find those weak spots before the attackers do, and having a rock-solid plan for when things inevitably go wrong. But maybe the biggest hurdle and the most critical factor for success is getting full alignment across all your teams. When your developers, your operations folks, your security team, and compliance are all working together, that's when security really becomes everyone's responsibility.
Okay, I know this sounds like a lot of work. So, what's the payoff? Why should a fast-moving fintech company invest all this effort into zero trust? Well, the answer is simple. The benefits are huge.
This chart really shows you the return on investment. The risk of a major breach? It absolutely plummets. Your readiness for all those strict financial regulations? That improves significantly. But most importantly, in an industry that is literally built on it, customer trust soars. Customers are just way more confident that their data is protected. So you see, zero trust isn't some barrier that slows down growth, it's actually an enabler. It's what allows fintech companies to scale quickly, to embrace new tech like open banking, and to expand into new markets with real confidence, knowing their security foundation is strong.
So we'll end with a final thought here. In fintech, everything is built on trust. The old model was just to assume it. The new standard is to constantly verify it. So the question to leave you with is this: how is your organization proving it deserves that trust? Every minute of every day.